folks? Welcome back to the channel. Well, I'm back from my trip. I got another one coming up pretty soon. I caught a little bug when I came back, so forgive my voice right now. But this video is going to be part one of a two-part series that I'm doing. And I really just wanted to talk about my favorite movies, the movies I rewatch the absolute most. I'm not saying these are the best movies ever made, but these are my favorites and the ones that I can kind of go back to anytime. I can put them on in the background. I can just watch them in isolation. Doesn't matter if it's on or if I can put it on, I'll sit down and watch these movies. So this first video is going to be 5 of my top 10 with some honorable mentions. And then part 2 will be the same thing, another 5 and some honorable mentions. And also, keep in mind, these are not in any particular order. First one I'm going to talk about is a movie that I've talked about several times on this channel. And recently I talked about the documentary that recently came out. And that's John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982. This movie is objectively really great. Now, I know I said that my list isn't necessarily, the greatest movies ever. It's really just my favorites. However, I do believe that The Thing from 1982 may be the best horror movie ever made. And it's one of those ones that's, sci-fi horror. I don't know if you want to call it the best sci-fi movie or best horror movie or somewhere in between, but it's definitely got to be in your top 5 greatest horror films of all time. The story is great. The special effects are all-time classic. And the fact that the movie doesn't give you a lot of actual answers and leaves a lot of things up to interpretation, the way it's edited, it makes it one of those films that you will talk about forever. As long as John Carpenter keeps his mouth shut about any actual answers, people are going to be debating what's going on in this film forever. And because it's directed and edited so perfectly, it's one of those movies you just kind of go back and watch over and over and over again. You might pick up small little details that you didn't pick up before. I mean, what can I say? This movie is basically perfect. So if you can find it, you can check it out. If it's online, on a streaming service, or if you can get the Blu-ray, or even get the new documentary, do it. This movie is absolutely worth your time. I know I love it. Next, we have Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando. Now, I gotta say that I could actually do a top 30 of rewatchable movies, and I want to say that like a good portion of them will be Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. But Commando is one that I will come back to over and over again. If I'm watching it and my wife walks by, she'll say, "Oh my God, you're watching that movie again." Yes, I am watching this movie again because it is one of those films that you can just watch on repeat and it never gets old. It is that perfect encapsulation of 80s action, and yeah, some of it's just ridiculous. A lot of weird stuff happens in this movie, continuity errors, all the things that made those 80s action movies great, honestly. This is Schwarzenegger at his young prime, basically. He's becoming an action hero at this point, and this movie just is the perfect encapsulation of that. It came around at the perfect time. Like I said, the action and direction, the villains are great, and it's just one of those movies that is not too long. It gets right to the point. There's not a lot of downtime in this film. You can put it on and just have a great time. Is it objectively one of the best movies ever? Hell no. But is it just a lot of fun? Is it more fun than movies that maybe come out nowadays? In a lot of ways it is. And yeah, it's just one of those ones I can put on anytime and just watch over and over again. And I've talked about that movie previously on this channel a few years ago. I may have to come back and revisit this one because, like I said, this is one of my favorite movies, and I may want to talk about it again. So I don't know, I'll see if I'll do that in the future. Let me know in the comments. Okay, 1986's Aliens.
Get away from her, you bitch!
This is also one of those films that, yes, I said this list isn't necessarily the best movies, but this one is one of the best sci-fi movies ever made. Let's keep it 100. It's one of the greatest action films of the 80s and one of the greatest sci-fi films ever made. Aliens is basically perfect. James Cameron did a wonderful job with this. Taking the original Alien and changing the format up and turning it from a strictly like slasher horror film to a sci-fi action movie, and done in such a way that it's just epic and incredible. Sigourney Weaver's great in this movie. The whole cast is great. Let's keep it honest. And Aliens is a movie that I can just kind of watch over and over again. The director's cut, the original cut, doesn't matter. This movie is so good that there's really no negatives about it. Like if you come up with negatives about this movie, like there's something wrong with you, honestly. I've said this before, but Aliens is a movie that if it came out today, people would complain that it was like woke or something. Like whatever, shut up. This movie's great. And yeah, it's forever on my rewatchable list.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What do we gonna do?
Next is another Schwarzenegger movie, Predator.
You one ugly motherfucker.
Predator is one of my all-time favorite movies, and it's probably the manliest movie ever made. That handshake between Matrix and Dylan at the beginning, one of the greatest things ever put to film.
You son of a bitch.
Special effects are insane. For the time, I mean, this movie was totally different than anything we had seen at the time, and kind of like encapsulates that perfect blend of a horror film and action sci-fi movie. It does everything really well. It's the atmosphere, the music, the Predator itself, everything about this movie is pretty perfect, and it's one of those films that I don't know anybody that just doesn't like this movie, especially if you grew up in the era that I did.
Bastard trees.
And before I get to the fifth film on this list, I want to talk about a few honorable mentions. So honorable mention number one, Purple Rain. I've talked about this previously on the channel. It's my favorite musical. I'm not really a big fan of musicals, you know, like Little Shop of Horrors is great, The Wiz, but Purple Rain is my favorite musical. Whether you want to call it a musical or not, I think it is. It's just a great movie, mainly because of the music, and that's why it's still timeless. Like I can watch this movie anytime because the music in the film is so great. Let's Do It Again, another film I've talked about. For whatever reason, I just love this old comedy from the 70s. It's just hilarious. I love it. Another Schwarzenegger movie, Running Man. I can watch Running Man over and over again, and objectively, that movie has issues. I don't care. I just love that movie. Real Genius. I've talked about that previously on this channel. Real Genius is a fantastic movie that I can watch anytime. It's got a great soundtrack, great story, and it's just, you know, funny in all the right ways. It's that perfect 80s, mid-80s movie. You can watch Real Genius anytime if you're a fan of 80s movies. Lastly, for this honorable mention for this list is Return of the Living Dead. I've talked about that previously on this channel. That's just one of those horror comedies that is done so perfectly. There's really nothing wrong with it. I mean, yeah, it could have had a bigger budget, or whatever. You can say whatever you want. Return of the Living Dead is pretty much perfect as a zombie movie, especially as a zombie comedy movie. You know, maybe Shaun of the Dead might beat it out a little, but for whatever reason, I can go back and rewatch Return of the Living Dead over and over again. I've seen Shaun of the Dead a bunch of times, but I've definitely seen Return of the Living Dead a lot more. So last for today's list is my favorite all-time movie. Say what you want about this movie, but The Last Dragon from 1985.
Sure enough! I can't hear you.
Sure enough!
Shogun of Harlem.
Is essentially my perfect film. I can watch this movie as many times as you want to show it to me. I had this movie on VHS way back in the day. My sister and I watched it every day during the summer, like on repeat, once or twice a day. And I got to the point where I could memorize every line of this movie, all the music, everything. To this day, this movie remains my favorite film of all time. I actually went to the movies to see this in 1985. And I remember crying because my mom and my sister wanted to go see it. And I wanted to go see Baby Secret of the Lost Legend, that movie about a dinosaur in the jungle, because I was a kid. I was like 7 years old. We went to go see The Last Dragon, loved it. Absolutely loved it. Forgot about that movie Baby until it came out on cable. Didn't care, because The Last Dragon was the greatest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And to this day, it is still my favorite movie of all time. I don't know if another movie is going to take its place at any point. This is just my favorite film. I've talked about this previously on the channel. I may have to revisit it because this is absolutely my favorite film. Right now, it's free on streaming services on either Pluto or Tubi. I can't remember. But anyway, it's always worth watching. If you haven't seen The Last Dragon, just give it a watch. It's absolutely worth your time. So that concludes part one of my rewatchables video. Stay tuned. I'm gonna have a trip coming up pretty soon, so I may put part two out after I return from that trip. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. If you liked the video, hit the like button, share it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll be back real soon. Thanks for watching.